Well, you might have heard about that bear attack in rural Barron County over the weekend. A 69-year-old woman now hospitalized after she was attacked by a bear. We haven't received an update on her condition just yet, but we do know she's in the hospital.
Yeah, but bear experts are saying black bear attacks are rare. So we want to bring in an expert to really just expand on that. So joining us tonight is Cady Sartini, an associate professor at UW-Stevens Point, and also the principal investigator for the Stevens Foundation Wisconsin Black Bear Research Project. Thank you so much, Cady, for joining us tonight. Few details specifically have been released about this attack. So we just want to focus on black bear attacks in general here. So your research shows there were only 4 non-fatal attacks in Wisconsin between 2000 and 2017, not a whole lot. What are some of the main reasons black bears might attack a human then?
That's a really great question, and it can be really hard to tell what a bear's motivation is at the time, but in general we recognize 3 different types of attacks: defensive attacks, predatory attacks, and then food-motivated attacks, where a bear is trying to obtain food and a human is just in between them and that food item. Most of the attacks that we see by far are defensive attacks and also food-motivated attacks, where bears have been receiving food and there's some kind of an attractant in the area that brings those bears into close proximity with people. And that's really where the most dangerous situations are. Very, very few of the attacks that we see are predatory in nature, but most of them are defensive attacks. Most likely what was seen here in this case with where they found a sow and some cubs, that's the most common type of attack that we see.
And then also, Cady, for some context, what is the population of black bears living in Wisconsin right now, and is the population growing?
Yeah, that's a great question too. The DNR estimates that there's about 24,000 or just over 24,000 bears in the whole state of Wisconsin. Most of those bears reside in the northern half of the state, where we've got large swaths of forested land and actually relatively few people and population centers in those areas too. So that's a really good situation for bears and for people. And the bear population does appear to be growing in Wisconsin as well, where bears are starting to move more south. So it's really good for people to be able to recognize what to do when they might encounter a bear, or how to prevent bears from becoming habituated in the first place, so that we can try to keep those bears and those humans as safe as possible. Because seeing a bear really should be a special thing, but it's only going to be special if we respect their space and we keep bears as wild as possible. So keeping things like bird seed, garbage, all that kind of things, those are attractants that bring bears into close contact with people, and we want to avoid that as much as possible.
Yeah, Cady, you kind of mentioned it there, giving, a mother bear and her cub that space. And your research backed this up, right? What else did you find?
Yeah, I mean, that's really, really good. The other thing that was really important that we found that I think is good for people to recognize is how many attacks involved dogs. So a full 25% of all attacks involve dogs of some kind, and in most of those cases, the dogs were off leash. And so that can be lots of different situations. It can involve you hiking, but it can also involve a situation like you open your door to let your dog out and there's a bear in the yard, and then the dog engages with the bear and you call the dog back, and then the bear might end up attacking you instead of the dog. And that can be a really dangerous situation. And that's really, really why you need to keep bears out of your yard as much as possible by keeping those attractants away from them, so that you don't have bears in and around your house specifically. That can be a very dangerous situation.
Yeah, here at Fox 9, we've done a lot of research on bears in the region. Randy Meyer did a week-long special on bears and looked into recorded attacks. And yeah, the dogs were one of the most common reasons why there would be an attack. But so you said there are some things that people should know as the population is growing and also shifting in where they're living. If somebody does encounter a black bear, what should they do?
Great question. So if you do happen to encounter a bear, it depends a lot on what that bear is doing. 98% of the time you're going to see that bear, it's going to just keep on going about its business, and all you need to do is enjoy the moment and then quietly remove yourself from the situation. So appreciate the bear for what it is, and then move away so that the bear has its space, and you can keep yourself separate from that situation. The thing that you might want to consider if the bear is starting to come towards you or starting to recognize you and moving, in your direction, is to make yourself as big as possible. Basically you're trying to indicate that you also recognize that the bear is there, so you can yell at the bear or say, "Hey bear," those kinds of things. And then that's most likely going to be what you need to do in order to get that bear to move off. And that's going to resolve most situations. If the bear continues forward, you might need to do that a little bit more, but backing away and definitely not turning and running. That's what we're looking for out of an encounter.
Which I'm sure is really hard,
right in the moment,
not to do. Yeah, because it probably just scares you at that point. Cady, we really appreciated some interesting and really useful and helpful information. Again, we don't know the specifics of this most recent attack, but, in case of, it's great to have this kind of information. So we appreciate your time tonight. Again, Cady Sartini, Principal Investigator for the Stevens Foundation Wisconsin Black Bear Research Project. Thanks for your time tonight. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
And the Wisconsin